Welcome to another episode of Unlocking the Upside. I'm Jeff Robinson, and today we're tackling something that's been driving me crazy for years, our industry's addiction to overcomplicated Excel charts. You know what I'm talking about, James? Those presentations where you need a PhD in visual archaeology to understand what's going on.
I can hear the frustration in your voice already, Jeff. But before you go on one of your famous rants, maybe we should break this down for our listeners. What got you thinking about this particular issue?
Well, I was in an investment committee meeting last week, and someone pulled up this chart with 3 axes, 6 different metrics, and enough trend lines to make a spider's web look simple. And I thought to myself, we're making this way harder than it needs to be.
That's a perfect example. Let's dig into why this happens and, more importantly, how we can fix it.
You know what blows my mind? Investment analysts spend countless hours creating these intricate financial charts that end up looking more like abstract art than actual analysis tools. It's like we've created this bizarre culture where complexity equals competence.
That's so true. Just yesterday, I was in a meeting where the presenter spent 15 minutes just explaining how to read their chart before getting to any actual insights.
Well, here's what's fascinating. Microsoft Excel, the tool everyone relies on, might actually be making this problem worse. The software practically begs us to add more layers of complexity with every click.
How exactly does that work? I mean, Excel is supposed to make our lives easier, right?
Think about it this way. Excel makes it incredibly easy to add secondary axes, overlay multiple trend lines, and stack different data series. Before you know it, what started as a simple revenue analysis turns into this visual labyrinth that requires a PhD to decode.
Oh man, I've definitely been guilty of that. You start with something straightforward and then you think, well, maybe I should add just one more comparison.
And that's where cognitive psychology comes in. Research shows our brains can only process a certain amount of visual information simultaneously. When we create these super complex charts, we're actually overwhelming our viewers' working memory.
That makes so much sense. It's like trying to watch 3 movies at once. You end up missing everything.
Exactly. And here's another challenge. These visualizations need to work across multiple formats. They need to look good in color presentations, make sense in black and white printouts, remain clear when converted to PDF, and be easily updatable for quarterly reviews.
Not to mention maintaining clarity across different display sizes. I can't tell you how many times I've had a chart look perfect on my laptop, but turn into a mess on the presentation screen.
You know what I call this problem? Visualization debt. Just like technical debt in software development, we create these brittle, hard to maintain charts that nobody wants to touch because they might break.
That's such a perfect term for it. But what's the solution? We can't just stop showing detailed analysis.
Well, there's this concept called progressive disclosure that's gaining traction. Instead of showing everything at once, you start with the key message and then drill down into the details as needed.
Could you give me a real-world example of how that works?
Sure, let's say you're analyzing Amazon's performance. Instead of creating one massive chart showing revenue growth, margins, AWS metrics, and e-commerce market share all at once, you break it down. Start with overall revenue trends, then dive into segment performance, then operational metrics.
That sounds much more manageable. But don't you lose some of the relationships between different metrics?
Actually, research suggests breaking information into a sequence of simpler visualizations improves comprehension and retention. It's about creating a narrative flow rather than overwhelming people with data.
So how do we actually implement this in practice?
The key is standardization. Create templates with consistent color schemes, fonts, and layouts. Limit the number of data series per chart. Avoid dual axes unless absolutely necessary. Think of it as creating a visual style guide for financial analysis.
But won't we get pushback from people who equate complexity with thoroughness?
That's the cultural shift we need to make. Warren Buffett is known for explaining complex concepts simply. We need to start viewing clarity as a skill, not a compromise.
Speaking of skills, how do you handle situations where you really do need to show complex relationships?
That's where the concept of cognitive load optimization comes in. Break complex analyses into linked visualizations. Start with the headline message, then allow people to drill down into details as needed. It's like creating layers of information.
I can see how that would be more effective than trying to show everything at once.
And here's another benefit. It forces us as analysts to really think about what story we're trying to tell with our data. What's the key insight we want people to take away?
That's actually quite liberating. Instead of trying to show everything we know, we can focus on what matters most.
Exactly. And in the long run, this approach saves time. Think about how many hours we spend tweaking complex charts or explaining them in meetings.
You're right. I probably spend more time formatting charts than actually analysing what they're telling me.
And that's the real issue here. We've lost sight of the purpose of financial visualization. It's not about showing how much work we've done. It's about facilitating better investment decisions.
This conversation has really opened my eyes. Where do we start making these changes?
Start small. Next time you create a chart, ask yourself, what's the one thing I want people to understand? Could I break this into simpler, linked visualizations? Is every element adding value?
That seems doable. And I suppose as more people adopt this approach, it could create a ripple effect.
Absolutely. And think about the broader impact. If we can make financial information more accessible and understandable, we're not just improving our own work, we're potentially improving financial literacy on a larger scale.
When you put it that way, it feels like we have a real responsibility to get this right.
We do. Clear financial visualization isn't just about making prettier charts. It's about democratizing financial understanding and enabling better decision-making across the board.
This has given me a lot to think about. I'm definitely going to look at my charts differently now.
That's great to hear. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress. Every small improvement in how we present financial information is a step toward better investment decisions and broader financial literacy. And here's something that resonates deeply with today's discussion about effective financial analysis. Throughout my career in investment research, I've seen how the right presentation of information can make or break million-dollar decisions. That's exactly why I created Insight One. What makes Insight One different is our focus on practical excellence. We're not just teaching theory, we're showing you how to create clear, impactful financial analysis in the real world using the tools you actually have access to, like Excel and PowerPoint. Our platform combines decades of institutional investment experience with modern learning technology to help you master the art of financial visualization and analysis. Whether you're a seasoned analyst looking to streamline your process or an aspiring investment professional wanting to build institutional quality analysis, Insight One provides the frameworks and tools you need. We're taking everything I learned from years of creating research for the world's top investors and making it accessible and actionable. Find us on the App Store, Google Play, or at theinvestmentanalyst.com. Use code INSIGHT1 for a special listener discount. Let's elevate the standard of financial analysis together.